Hello everybody, Robert Marzullo here, and today I want to show you guys how to go about filling in some of the cool action lettering on your comic book pages. This is a page I'm in the middle of Blackstone Eternal, and this scene he just kind of comes in. He's got the alien on his back that has just been attached to him, and his sidekick bot tries to uh, kind of check it out, maybe take a biopsy off it, take a clip off it to analyze it. And Blackstone reacts and swats his little sidekick away as if feeling pain, but then realizing, wait a second, I didn't just do that. This thing somehow controlled my action. So that's essentially what's going on in this page layout. And you see I got a few layers going on. I've got some sketching. I've got some where I'm trying to refine the lines a little bit more, get the scene down. But now for the part that we're going to focus on, and that is the action balloons, action words that are so important in comics. So what I'll generally do in my sketch is I'll throw down just a basic, thwap, ow, bing, bam, ting, whatever, So I'll kind of put that down real quick along the sketch lines, and then in my case, like I always talk about, I use a lot of layers. So I'll add a layer, and this thwap I'll try to start refining on a separate layer so I can still be kind of sketchy with it. I'm also going to, seeing that I have this big overall space here, I'm going to increase the size of the letters. Now this is going to be more of a freestyle kind of just connected letter, almost like graffiti look, I think, in comics, where you can kind of just free flow it as long as you got a good working of understanding of how to draw some lettering. But all I do here, I'm going to show you a couple ways. One, this one, because I'm just going to connect these letters as they come about, I'm not going to sit there and draw my reference lines as much. Um, Even though I kind of messed up the W there, but that's the benefit of doing this on a sketch layer. Or if you're using a light table, just sketch it on a 8.5 by 11 or smaller piece of paper, and then transfer it on your light table. You're always going to get better results when you do that effect. So yeah, we're doing thwap here. So I'm just kind of boxing, using a box letter style. And notice the letter style. The only thing that's consistent here is the thickness of the font. Other than that, I'm not staying too what's the word there? I'm not trying to make it too even. The fact that it's uneven makes it look kind of cool. So you can see they're not even lining up. The font's on an angle, the words on an angle. It's more of a fun look. So the only thing you want to worry about is mainly the consistency from here to here, there to there. Somewhat comparable. That's what makes a decent font when you're trying to go for that kind of look where it's a thick font, but it's all consistent across. So there's that, and honestly, I would probably even just go with that one. I mean, that's not that bad, and for me, and I think it works. Now, the only other thing I would do to really bring this out, now I don't particularly plan on this book being color. It might, but for the digital sake. But as far as uh, printing production costs and things like that, this is probably going to be a black and white book. So, or it is going to be a black and white book. So, the drop shadow here uh, will be kind of neat. I could do a halftone or a grayscale inside the font. If it was a color book, then I'd leave that wide open and yeah, let the color artist really bring that out because they can do a nice little color fade inside the wording and really make that jump. But considering it's going to be a black and white, um, I think in terms of that, and then I draw uh, the effects correspondingly. So I might, you know, put the drop shadow in here, and then I might come back and do some kind of effect with the line work inside the font to make it look cool, knowing that it's only going to be a black and white production. So, but that's kind of besides the point. So basically what I'm doing here is just giving a nice little drop shadow. It's real easy to do. All you do is look at the the area next to it, recreate it, and move it to your bottom left or wherever your drop shadow is going to be. And if you want the word to appear further away from the background, then you would just extend this uh, sketch drop shadow further away down into the left in this case, and you're going to get the effect that this word is hovering further over the background. And again, if you're doing something in color, you could even kind of just outline this drop shadow. Then they could come back in with the corresponding color and lower the opacity, and then it's going to have a really nice, cool little realistic drop shadow. Because I've seen real shadows, you're going to see, well, depending on the intensity of the shadow, you're going to see some of the background behind it or through it. Yep, so you see how quick and easy that is right there. I mean, this is one of the fonts I like to draw the most because it is so quick and easy. And then you can keep expounding upon that and, thicken the letter style, always using your thick to thin strokes on your drawing there to really bring out that comic book look. I'd probably tend to make them thicker at the points away from the drop shadow to give it kind of some emphasis or whatever in that direction. And I do a lot of motion lines across here to bring that sketch out. But here, actually, I'm on the layer for the lettering, so I shouldn't be sketching on the background. There's a little bit of my ADD kicking in or something. So let's see. Even that snip, we'll do that real quick. Okay, so he's over there trying to take a little clip off this thing and figure out what the heck it is and why it's now on our hero's back. So let's see. This right here, I'd probably keep it small because it's kind of a small part of the scene, but I'd probably do a solid fill, and then I'm separating the letters, but then I would probably just do this kind of freestyle, like almost like handwriting, or it kind of resembles if you were hand lettering your word balloons or something, but then just give a little bit of flair to it by pulling the lines to a point. And maybe something as simple as that, just snip, it's real quick, and no, I don't have to throw a word balloon in there for that, which, well, you wouldn't, that's more of a sound effect. Okay, and even though this is a word balloon down here where you're saying ow, I just want to show you one other way to do letter styles that helps you draw them out. So I want to give you a technique because that other one just shows, me drawing it, but I want to show you a technique. So here's a good one for creating fonts or letter styles or whatever. Designate your area that you want this thing to work within, okay? And count your amount of letters here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll do 3 of the exclamation points because even though he's a robot, it's kind of more the comedy of it that he would say ow. So, so 6. So, and I generally start with the first letter being larger and then working its way down to go along with the perspective. I think I'm going to need more room back here, so let me add some more. So 1, 2, 3 exclamation points are going to be smaller, so 4, 5, and 6 should be good right there. Okay, so what I do here, and the reason I do this, is to give me some kind of guideline to do this sketch, and it seems to come out better if you do that. So, and you can even take it a step further and make sure you have the guide for your actual spacing between the font, unless you're going to go with a connected font. But generally in this case, when I do my connected fonts, I usually make them not line up. This one I'm going to make it more of a symmetrical or go along this flow of these lines here. So generally what I'll do is I'll just kind of rough sketch the I don't know if that's how you spell owl, but I think it is. The rough sketch of where they're going to go. And I usually just do this with a series of lines like this. Okay? And now what I'll do is go ahead and move this behind my blue line layer. I think, if I can here. Yep, there. And then I'll create another layer over top. So now there's my blue line sketch layer, which if you watch my other videos I talk about, I love creating the blue line effect immensely. It just helps me to draw that next layer and then not get confused with my line work. So although I may get confused with my layers because I had so many of them, but kind of a layer junkie. Okay, so I'm going to turn my pencil layer down a little bit, or size of it down. Okay, so now I'm going to sketch out this font, and I don't know that I want to leave that O so round. We'll try it, or letter O. But now what this does is it gives me a guideline for drawing it, so it makes my drawing a lot easier to do. And that the W there needs to be a lot thicker. Because like what I said before, you gotta have some consistency of thickness. I may have to stretch this out a lot more. So let's just see what we get here. I'm gonna do the first W. Yeah, so based on that, I'm gonna have to readjust my my font spacing here. So the other W is gonna come here. Exclamation points, those are easy. And I want to look at something else. I'm going to actually try the W with the flat bottom versus the point. You know what? I'll go with the point. I think just to make it a little different. Not too traditional. You know, don't ever be afraid to redraw. Redraw as much as possible. I mean, a lot of people are so worried about, you know, production and deadlines, and that is a factor too. Sometimes you do have to just live with something, but you're never going to grow if you don't redraw. You're never going to find out new techniques and go, oh man, the better way to do this is this, unless you redraw. So, you know, learn to think outside the box and retrain your mind when you're doing this stuff. That's how people get better. Okay, so that shows you just, you know, like how to do it based on that series of sketch lines and spacing or whatever. I don't like that look personally, but um, what I could do is I'll try another one without that effect, more uh, fluid or loose in the sketch. And I'm going to try a whole nother one real quick right over top of it. So now I'm kind of, you know, I've got my guide of the one that I don't care for. And now I'm going to do the letter styles where one's in front of the other. I'll keep kind of the same look. I don't mind the W, I just think it needs to be a little bit more whacked out. I mean, he's screaming ow here, you know, not shouldn't look too straight, and I don't know, that just looks too boring, I guess. See, I'm curving the W's at the top now. I think that brings out the points a little bit more. Makes it look a little more interesting. And then we can even have these trail off a little bit, see what that looks like. Yeah, see, I'm actually digging that more. So, you know, but I wanted to show you a couple techniques. I didn't want to just do a video and only have one effect here. So, let's see. So now all I would do is move that into place and distort it. You know, and that's the other benefit of using your layers properly, because now you can, you know, bend it, skew it, rotate it without affecting the rest of your drawing. You know, I might even have that real, you know, the wording will probably be even larger, like even a lot larger than him, because that's kind of the emphasis of the scene. You can see he's kind of hit against the wall and laying on the ground there, and then the big ow, while Blackstone kind of thinks about, what just happened here. Why did I just inadvertently hit him and swat him against the wall? So it's like that's the story there, and that's you see how the lettering does a lot for that. I mean, it makes the page a lot more interesting to look at. Try to get my layers back in order here. There we go. Yep, so, these word balloons are action words are so important to the scene. Um, so hopefully that helps you. And if you got any questions on that, please let me know. I'd be happy to explain further if you need it. So like I said, I'll just kind of rough them in, something which I call comic book shorthand. I'll shorthand them in there with my sketch or my thumbnail, and then I'll just keep refining them, and often on separate layers. So anyways, hopefully that helps, and I appreciate you watching these videos. Be sure to like and subscribe so that I can keep producing them, and I will keep going with this. So just tell me what you'd like to see, and that's what I'll focus on drawing the next time. So thanks very much, and be sure to check out Blackstone on DeviantArt at Ram Studios 1 DeviantArt. So thanks very much. Take care. Keep drawing. Bye-bye.